Hi everyone, I'm Linda Welbrock, the founder of Leading Women Entrepreneurs, and I feel so honored to have with us today Dorinda Walker, who is the Vice President of Cultural Insights and Activation at Prudential Financial. Welcome, Dorinda. It is so amazing to have you here with us today, and I don't even know where to begin with you, but let's start at the beginning.
Well, let me say what a pleasure it is to be here with you, Linda. So thank you for having me, and I'm honored to be one of the top 25 entrepreneurs.
Great, thank you so much. So let's start because, again, your backstory is filled with a lot of challenges that you overcame. And I think that's so important for women to understand that it's not just a straight line of getting to success. Tell us about that.
Sure. So I was definitely on a path to prison or death. Both of my parents were heroin addicts, and as a result, I suffered the consequences of their addiction early in my childhood. My dad ended up going to jail for murder. My mom got into an abusive relationship, and as a result, we both suffered physical and mental abuse. And I ended up going from a straight A honor roll, gifted and talented student to an at-risk youth. I dropped out of high school. I sold drugs. I made a lot of bad decisions. And when my dad died, I was 17 years old. My mother had disappeared right after. I was severely depressed. I attempted suicide. I spent 6 weeks in a psych ward. And God sent people, places, and opportunities my way to change the trajectory of my life. And I had to work years on the process of forgiveness because it is a process. I had to find my faith and know that I was meant to be more than a woman who lacked integrity or moral value, that I was worthy. And I had to put in the work with fortitude to change my circumstances. And I was so fortunate to embark on a career at Prudential, in a company that really invested in their talent. So here I am today, Vice President of Cultural Insights and Activation for Brand Marketing and Advertising. And I'm very thankful and grateful for what I was able to accomplish, and even further pursuing my passion of being an empowerment speaker, an author, and an advocate of change for women and those who are underserved.
So there's so many directions I can take this, but let's start with your book, because I think just the title alone speaks to me.
Protected by Purpose. It's a memoir of my life, and then at the end of every chapter, I give affirmations to the readers about what I learned about those experiences. I talk about the relationship with my parents, because it was important for me to own the narrative, for people to understand that my parents weren't bad people. They made a bad decision, but they were good people at the end of the day.
Right.
And talk about how I went, evolved in my career, and the lessons that I learned about my life that I was able to apply to my career, like how to take strategic risk and how not to be afraid to apply for a position that I knew I wasn't qualified for, right? But being gutsy, because I knew I could do it. I had confidence in myself, and then going through that process of letting go of the shame and the baggage of my past,
Right.
and really owning who I am and being authentic, and how that opened up so many doors for me.
So you talked about, how one of the strategies that you use to be so successful in corporate America is so interesting to me, about how you basically created this niche for yourself. So talk to me about how that process evolved.
Sure. So when I was about 35 years old, I had my grandfather and his sister over for Thanksgiving dinner, and they talked about how they had chauffeur-driven limousines to school when they were young. And I said, how can that be? That was the 1930s. And they said very flippantly, well, we were rich. And I said, oh. And so they told me the story of how my great-grandfather immigrated from St. Kitts at the age of 16 to Newark, New Jersey. He became a prominent businessman. He owned 2 supper clubs. Sarah Vaughan went to his music school. She's buried two plots next to him. And by the time my mother was born in 1953, he died in 1940, there was little to no evidence of his legacy. So I thought it can't be a coincidence that I work for one of the largest financial services companies in the globe. What can I do to change that narrative, not only for my family, but for other families? And at the time, I was co-chair of a business resource group, the Black Leadership Forum, which is Prudential's largest business resource group, and one of, I believe, 6 right now. And I kept hearing the same thing. Prudential and other financial services companies should do more to market to women and people of color. And I said, you know what? Let's not talk about it. Let's do something about it. So I wrote a proposal as to why the company should focus on multicultural marketing. And 2 executives got behind it. One became the executive sponsor. I did it as like a side job. We started out just providing employee education. And our senior leadership said, you know what, we're going to make this a strategic imperative. And the COO created the department in 2012. And we've had a huge focus on making sure that we are growing market share with women and communities of color ever since.
I mean, I'm ready to stand up and scream. I don't even know how to control my excitement over that story. I think that obviously there's some divine intervention too, without question, from your grandfather.
Absolutely.
You gotta love that, and you heard the message. That's the most important part, and you are here, for a very specific purpose, and you're living that. So it's beautiful to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. So let's talk about the future. I mean, what's your biggest vision?
Well, right now, I'm focused on really promoting my book, Protected by Purpose. I have a 15-city international empowerment tour that I launched in Dallas in April, and just came back from Atlanta. And in each city, I focus on different topics that I've experienced. So in Atlanta, we focused on domestic violence. In New Jersey, it was addiction. So I'm really proud that I can use my platform to bring awareness about these issues and hopefully empower people who are struggling with these issues to get the help that they need and the resources. So I'm really excited about that work. And I think where I see myself 10 years from now is just really doing something wonderful.
Well, you already are. You got a 15-city tour. I mean, you're changing lives out there.
And I definitely see myself opening a nonprofit and really giving back. And it's important to me that my work serves. Even the work I do at Prudential, people say, well, you work for a financial services company, how are you serving? But when I see the consumers who say, oh, because Prudential was here, I have a life insurance policy, or I'm able to give my grandchildren a college fund, or I'm able to provide my employees retirement benefits. That to me is why I do what I do.
Right.
Providing access and opportunity to women in underserved communities, I think is very important. And women have the financial power to change the world.
You can say that again.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're growing businesses 2 to 1 compared to men, and we're responsible for several $1 trillion in revenues out there in the world. So we're a force to be reckoned with, and it's a wave that's rising across this great nation, and you can either swim with us or not.
Exactly. So I'm proud to be part of a group of women who are really making a difference.
Me too. Okay, so on that note, our last question for today is about our theme, which is transforming tomorrow together. So how does that message resonate with you?
It really resonates with me because I believe that it does take a village. So the togetherness of women coming together collectively to affect change and whatever they're focused on, I think is empowering. It shows young women and young girls that it's possible, it can be done, and hopefully we can get male change agents to join along in the ride.
That's what I'm talking about. It's about the male change agents. Yes. We need more of them. Well, listen, I am just honored again and thrilled to have you in the class of 2018. So thankful that someone great nominated you. And we can't wait to celebrate you on October 15th at the Liberty House in Jersey City.
Awesome.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.